Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sacred Ground Community Church and Sangha, and welcome to you folks who are watching us live on Facebook. So we have some folks here present with us, and we have you folks who are joining us online as well. Happy Easter, everyone. And we are kind of a unique church, unique Sangha, because we're a melding of East and West, blending the beneficial teachings of Buddhism, Christianity, and earth-centered spirituality. And we'll begin, as we usually do, with the sound of the bell. And when you hear the bell, the invitation is just to enjoy the sound of the bell in this present moment. So I invite you to enjoy the sound of the bell. My glasses here. We begin our services usually with a little bow to each other. One of my friends from seminary is here. We went to different places. I went to Korea, and that's a place where people oftentimes bow to each other. And in a lot of our churches, we'll pass the peace. We'll offer a handshake of peace to each other, and this is kind of similar to that. And so you can just kind of nod to someone if you don't feel like doing a bow. But the idea is to recognize the beneficial within yourself and the sacred within the other. To recognize that you are a child of God, and so is this other person, whether it's a person you've known all your life or a person that you've never seen before this morning. I will be going up and standing behind this chair, and I'll bow to these two cameras, which are two different ways that we have of reaching people who sometimes listen in other parts of the country or other parts of the world. If you'd like to come up here and bow to the two cameras, you're bowing to other people actually, you're welcome to. Don't feel any need to that, and you don't have to bow to everyone or nod to everyone, but you're welcome to. But do know that if you come up here, we'll also have a Joys and Concern prayer time. If you come up here and sit, then you're going to be broadcast. You're going to be live on Facebook and on our YouTube recording. So if you'd rather not, when we have our sharings, you could just share from out there rather than coming up. So I'll ring the bell again, and then we'll have an invitation to offer each other a greeting. And sometimes it's said we need to recognize that goodness in ourselves. We need to recognize ourselves as what the Buddhists would call bodhisattvas in training, and what in Christian tradition we would call that we're each made in the image of God. Recognizing that in ourselves, and then seeing that, or trying to see that, in every other. So I'll do the bowl, and then we'll be invited to stand up if you wish and offer our bows. Or you could sit and do that. With everything we do here, I should say this, what you're comfortable with. It's just like, I don't want to bow. You don't need to bow. You don't need to stand up. Do it what feels comfortable and right for you, please. Enjoy once again the sound of the bell. I'll start out here. So you're welcome to stand if you wish. we're going to begin. I'm going to do a little centering prayer with us, and then we'll do, at the end of that, we'll do the first verse of a song that's probably familiar to many of you. I'm going to pass those out because I don't know where Miss Holly is. She might be helping my mom's 93. She might be upstairs. Underneath. And here's more if anybody comes in. I'm going to do the bell one more time. I can notice myself, I'm a little less present than I want to be. I'm a little too, it's Easter morning and I'm a little energized and I want to just get a little calmer. I'll do the bell a little differently this time. I invite you to just notice your breath as you breathe in. And as you breathe out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in, I am calm. Breathing out, I am present. Breathing in, it is Easter. Breathing out, I feel joy. Calm, present. Easter. Joy. The magic always happens. I open my eyes and more people appear. Welcome. We're going to talk about something, or I'm going to talk about something this Easter that I haven't spoken of. We've done this church off and on since 2009. I've never talked about this around Easter. I don't know if I've heard other ministers speak of this, but if you think of the Apostles' Creed, which some churches use, and one of the lines is, Jesus suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended into hell, and on the third day he rose again. And I have this wonderful Lenten book that I've been reading. Father Edward Hayes, a Roman Catholic priest who's a real influence on me. And he speaks of that descent into hell as part of the Easter journey. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And I'm going to begin that with a reading from Ephesians, but as I told you, I'm a little jittery here. I did have maybe a little too much coffee this morning. I'm a little jittery here, and I actually forgot, or maybe because I saw Sarah and I forgot to have us sing the first verse of our Easter hymn. And we're going to sing the different verses throughout the service. So if you have a copy, we'll be singing Jesus Christ is risen today. So if you're there at home and you happen to know the words or happen to remember this song, I certainly sang this many times growing up. And it dates back to the 14th century, which is just amazing. So we'll sing just the first verse right now. Actually, I wanted to do it right out of the mindfulness, out of the silence. I'm going to give us another moment of silence. And then I'll cue us in. In, out, calm, present. Easter, joy. Easter, joy. Jesus Christ is risen today. Alleluia. A triumphant holy day. Alleluia. Who did once upon the cross. Alleluia. Suffer to redeem our loss. Alleluia. A reading from Ephesians chapter 4, verses 8 through 10. Bless you. Each of us was given grace according to the measure of Christ's gift. Therefore it is said, when he ascended on high, he made captivity itself a captive. He gave gifts to his people. When it says he ascended, what does it mean? But that he had also descended into the lower parts of the earth. He who descended is the same one who ascended far above all the heavens, so that he might fill all things.
Happy Easter to everyone. Like Michael, I just need to kind of center myself right here. But it's so wonderful to see so many beautiful faces here and to have the people joining us from all over the country and maybe the world right now. So much appreciate being here with you all on Easter. And I just want to say a few things to people that are joining us on either Facebook or joining us on Zoom. We'd love for you to participate too. So if you're on Facebook or Zoom, you can chat with us in the chat box. Just let us know anything you want to share with us, and we'll have a joys and concerns and prayers time later that you can share there too. If you're on Zoom, you might need to do the question and answer to share something. Sometimes the chat doesn't work on there. So just that little bit. And I'm going to have our second reading. Right now, our second reading comes from Thich Nhat Hanh's Transformation at the Base. When people come together, manifesting suffering, anger, and hate, the collective manifestation they create is hell. That is why we practice looking deeply in order to transform delusion, anger, and hatred. The goal of the practice is not to end a life that is full of suffering, but to create a life filled with joy and peace. Through the practice of looking deeply, we can see the interdependent nature of all things and transform delusion into illumination. Seeing the nature of interbeing of all things, if we know how to walk with solidity and freedom, the ground under our feet is heaven. If we walk with sorrow, fear, and anger, we walk in hell. It all depends on our way of walking, our way of being.
Our third reading comes from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And as we were speaking earlier of Jesus descending into hell, we'll hear of a story that has some similarity from Buddhist tradition. This is from Sogyo Rinpoche's book, The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. Countless ages ago, it is said, 1,000 princes vowed to become Buddhas. One resolved to become the Buddha we know as Gautama Siddhartha. Avalokiteshvara, however, vowed not to attain enlightenment until all the other 1,000 princes had themselves become Buddhas. In his infinite compassion, he vowed to liberate all beings from the sufferings of the different realms of samsara. Before the Buddhas of the 10 directions, he prayed, "May I help all beings, and if ever I tire in this great work, may my body be shattered into 1,000 pieces." First, it is said, he descended into the hell realms, ascending gradually through the world of hungry ghosts up to the realm of the gods. From there, he happened to look down and saw, aghast, that though he had saved innumerable beings from hell, countless more were pouring in. This plunged him into the profoundest grief. For a moment, he almost lost faith in that noble vow he had taken, and his body exploded into 1,000 pieces. In his desperation, he called out to all the Buddhas for help who came to his aid from all directions of the universe. As one text said, like a soft blizzard of snowflakes. With their great power, the Buddhas made him whole again, and from then on, Avalokiteshvara had 11 heads and 1,000 arms. And on each palm of each hand was an eye, signifying that union of wisdom and skillful means that is the mark of true compassion. In this form, he was even more resplendent and empowered than before to help all beings. And his compassion grew even more intense as again and again he repeated this vow before the Buddhas. May I not attain final Buddhahood before all sentient beings attain enlightenment. It is said that in his sorrow at the pain of samsara, 2 tears fell from his eyes. Through the blessings of the Buddhas, they were transformed into the 2 Taras. One is Tara in her green form, who is the active force of compassion, and the other is Tara in her white form, who is compassion's motherly aspect. The name Tara means she who liberates, she who ferries us across the ocean of samsara.
Our fourth reading today is from Father Edward Hayes and his book, The Ascent of the Mountain of God, Daily Reflections for the Journey of Lent. It is found in the Apostles' Creed, he suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended into hell. On the third day he rose again. The direction is simple. The Paschal journey involves going to hell. While everyone is eager to go to heaven, few are eager to go to hell on their way. Like Jesus, we must also enter hell if we are to reach the top of Mount Easter. It wasn't only on the cross, however, that Jesus descended into hell. He did so each time he entered into the private hells of those who had been alienated as outcasts of society and religion. The vocation to be ambassadors of God and of Christ's love requires entering the private and public hells of others. Sliding into hell as ambassadors of God's love requires excellent balance and agility, as well as a love that's devoid of vengeance and judgment. Brave and loyal disciples are those who can say, "I will go to hell for those I love, and for a stranger as well. With the grace of God, I can love and support them without having to condemn or affirm their behavior. Whenever we go to hell to be living messengers of God's unconditional love, we can trust we are following in the footsteps of Jesus the Reconciler." When was the last time you felt you had gone into hell for someone? May each of us on this Easter expedition find that our feet are beautiful because they are willing to carry the message of peace even into hell. End of the third reading? Fourth reading. Fourth reading. And so with that, I'm going to lead us into a guided meditation and an embodied prayer. And part of this, or the whole thing today, is going to be a meditation on going into hell ourselves and sitting with people that are there. So it does seem kind of strange on this wonderful Easter that's where we're going to take you, but we'll see how it goes and see if it can actually get us into the Easter spirit. So I think we all have experienced times personally, and I could just talk for myself, where I feel like I am in hell. When I feel anger and hatred and suffering. I've just had those times in my life where I am deep down. And people around me, I've experienced that with them too, with family members, with friends, just knowing that somebody is suffering and that they are in their own personal hell. So we're just going to practice being able to go and sit with someone, but doing it while also keeping our solidity, our compassion, our love, and being able to do that. And I think to practice it is what's going to make it something that we can do ongoing, because I feel like we are called for that. Part of this Easter message is that we are called to do this for other people. So I invite you all to get in a comfortable spot, and you may close your eyes if you want. You may have a gentle gaze if you want. Put your hands in a deliberate space, and then just start noticing your breath in and out. Start noticing your chest rising and falling. Notice your body. If you have any tension in your body, I want you to, when you breathe in and when you breathe out, release some of that tension. And just get yourself in a relaxed space. And what I'd like you to do is fill yourself with the Easter spirit. The Easter spirit of resurrection. As we see this earth here in Ohio right now in spring returning to life. What seemed dead is coming back to life. I want you to see in your mind's eyes the trees beginning to bud. The slight green that is shadowing the trees. Some of the trees are in brilliant white and pink and purple. I just saw red buds yesterday with their beautiful purple. The sign that they are coming back to life. There's flowers around me, hyacinth and tulips. Flowers are coming up. That promise, that Easter promise, God's love is shown all around this earth. I want you to allow this feeling of life coming back, this resurrection feeling, to surround you, to permeate you, to fill you with God's love. And this promise of resurrection. And as you're filled with this Easter spirit, I invite you to think of someone that you know, maybe someone you love, maybe even someone you don't know, that is suffering right now. I want you to imagine just one person in particular, someone that you feel is in hell right now, in their own personal hell. Just imagine them, and imagine them. Are you sitting next to them? And what I want you just to do is open your heart as you're sitting next to them. And I'm just going to have us do 3 breaths in silence with an open heart and with that person that you're imagining right next to you. 3 deep, loving breaths right next to them. I invite you now to take God's love that you were feeling when you're feeling that Easter spirit and surround it around them. You could surround them with light, with love. Just surround it as you sit with them. I want you to send them compassion from your open heart and love. And then, just like Jesus did, I want you to ascend and come back to this beautiful Easter Sunday that we've been given right here in Columbus, Ohio, where we're at. I want you to see those trees budding, the bees coming back, the warmth of the sun as a symbol of the warmth of God's love. And I want it just to fill you again. And I want you to feel that joy and love so that other times this week or in the future that you may again and again be able to be with those who are in hell and to sit with them, to show them God's love, and then to come back with solidity and peace to this beautiful place that we are living. And remember that Easter spirit. Great Sacred, help us to remember this Easter teaching, that like Jesus, we are called to be with those in hell. Help us to live in compassion and loving kindness so that we can show others this love. Help us to be able to return to this precious, sacred, holy present moment. Help us to remember this Easter feeling of resurrection and love. May we use it to help relieve others' suffering and to bring more joy and peace to this world. Peace and amen and amen.
Thank you, Miss Ollie. I like the way we plan services, that I get to go after her because she always puts me in such a good space. As Ollie was saying, this Easter is a time of celebration. And with that, I'm going to invite us all to sing the second verse of Jesus Christ is Risen Today. Hymns of praise then let us sing, Alleluia, unto Christ our heavenly King, Alleluia, who endured the cross and grave, Alleluia, sinners to redeem and save, Alleluia. As Miss Ollie shared, I was hesitant about this topic, but I also sort of try to pay attention to what the Great Sacred is telling me. And I thought, well, goodness, you come to Easter service and everybody just, we should just be all jubilant and joyful. And we are going to get to rebirth and resurrection and that, but descending to hell, that's a pretty woo to be talking about on Easter Sunday. But then I thought, if we pay attention to that Apostles' Creed, that descent to hell, as the story goes, comes between Friday and today. So when else would we talk about it? And we can say, well, we're talking symbolically about the hell that a friend or family member might be in. But I also think of how Jesus speaks of, in the Gospel of Luke, you must pick up your cross daily. Well, if we're picking it up daily, that's something symbolic. And Jesus saying, the kingdom of God is in your heart. So maybe this is a very appropriate way to speak of hell. And I think about it, sometimes you'll see somebody's face when they're really angry and their features are contorted or they're kind of bent, or maybe it's me or you. My goodness, I think they're in hell. I think I've been in that hell. And what does it mean, like Avalokiteshvara and like the Christ? As Thich Nhat Hanh says, what does that mean? Or as Thich Nhat Hanh says, what does that mean to go into that hell with someone? As I was thinking about this, I thought about my friend Ron. I've known him since maybe 1974, 75. I'm getting to be an old man. And my sister died in 2006, 2007. Mom, ring fingers. And our family's from up in Northeast Ohio, near Youngstown. I was living in Columbus at the time. My friend Ron was living in Cincinnati. It's about 5 hours from Cincinnati to Youngstown. But Ronnie knew. He knew my sister. We had actually vacationed with her. She was quite a bit older than us. When we were teenagers, we had gone on vacation with her and her family. But beyond that, Ron's my friend, a very dear friend. And so he chose to drive the 10 hours, 5 hours to Youngstown, stay at his brother's place for a night or two, and drive the 5 hours back to be at the funeral, to be with me. Why? Because, like Jesus, Ron said, my friend is in hell. I must go to him. And he did. If I were to tell you the wise words that Ronnie said, I can't. Because I don't think he had any wise words. But he knew that he didn't have to have wise words. He knew just to be there was enough. Thich Nhat Hanh writes about being with people when they're suffering. Many times, and I'm guilty of this on a number of occasions, someone's going through their suffering and you want to fix it. You want to solve their problems for them. Like many others, Thich Nhat Hanh, they call him Thai. Thai suggests, well, why don't you just try listening? And you listen to try to understand. As Father Edward Hayes said, when you go into that hell realm, you don't have to affirm or condemn. You might, maybe you think that they kind of put themselves in hell from what decisions they made, but you don't have to confirm or defend or anything. Just be with them and try to understand. And I love what Thai says. He says, but even more deeper than understanding is just listening, even if you don't understand. Because when someone is suffering and they're saturated with suffering, it tends to spill out. Maybe as fear, maybe as anxiety, maybe as anger, maybe as hate. But if they're truly listened to, the suffering tends to be reduced. And like Avalokiteshvara, we can do that with many people. I've done it sometimes, but oftentimes I haven't. I don't know about any of you, but like, you know somebody who really needs a phone call, who really needs you to stop by and you don't? My own fears, my own anxieties, I'm not strong enough for this right now. Some of those times haunt me. Somebody going through a difficult time, and I wasn't there enough for them. What does that mean when we're there for them? Where's there? And I think that's part of what Jesus is inviting us into. Think of when he says, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was in prison, you visited me. In all those hells, you show up. You just show up. We were talking yesterday, Ollie and I, we had a long ride, and we were talking about a number of people we know right now, family members, friends, who are going through a lot of suffering. And it's true, right? No matter how many people you help, you can look back and say, oh gosh, look at all these people in their hells. And maybe like Avalokiteshvara, you can just shatter into 1,000 pieces. But I love that image of the snowflakes. The Buddha's coming back and bringing them back together. And in this mythical tale, what happens? He ends up with 11 heads and 1,000 arms with an eye in each hand. This is weird, right? It's just strange stuff. Then I started thinking, and of course I'm always looking for connections, like, oh, Jesus is gone, and he has these 11 apostles. And I think of, if I had, well, I have these two eyes, so I can see folks sitting out here, I could see into the camera, but you can see behind me. I have a limited point of view. But if I had 1,000 hands, and an eye in each one, I would have a lot more perspective. So maybe even when we fail and we feel like we're breaking apart, maybe we come together, maybe we could be something more, something stronger, something more helpful, something more compassionate to others. I love the part in that story from the Buddhist tradition of the two tears, and they become the two Taras, the white Tara and the green Tara. We chose to give the middle name of our daughter, our youngest daughter, Tara. And it says, Tara means she who brings us to the shore of compassion, who brings us across the shore. That's what Ron was trying to do for me. Bring me across the water. And I have a Good Friday practice. Some of you might be familiar that some people on Good Friday from noon to 3, these are the hours when it's said that Jesus is on the cross. Some people will maintain silence. And I have a practice of going to a cemetery and being in silence and being in prayer for those 3 hours. Well, I go to when I'm in Columbus on a Good Friday, I go to an old cemetery down by the Olentangy River. And we've had a fair amount of rain the last few days, or there's been rain around. So I went, and before I got to the cemetery, I sat on a bench by the river. I've never seen the river this high. There was no way, I'm not a very good swimmer, but even a great swimmer would have a heck of a time making it across that river. And I thought, what does it mean to ferry someone across the shore to the other shore of compassion? It's hard. And it's scary. And maybe it's even sometimes a little bit dangerous. What if the boat spills? What if I drown? What if I drown in their sorrow? I'm not sure I want to be around that person with their cancer. Or this person whose loved one had that car accident. Or their kid who's got an addiction. Or this person who's going through this difficult breakup. I don't know if I want to go to that hell. But maybe at least sometimes, like Jesus and Avalokiteshvara, we can. I'm so grateful Ron did for me. That Good Friday tradition, by the way, this is a side note. I'm Irish, so I get to tell little side stories. The first time I did that, I think, was in 1985. I was 22 years old. I was in grad school in Boston, and I spent the time in a cemetery there. my 22-year-old son sitting over here. That was 38 years ago. And I was thinking, if I do this for another 38 years, and we don't know how long we have, that would have me being 98 years old, on the cusp of being 99 in the year 2061. If I'm around, I hope I'm doing it. Because these practices are also part of what strengthen us and enable us to do what we're here to do. Ollie and I, we gave up certain foods for Lent. Didn't have any wheat, no processed sugar. So this morning we were really enjoying the sweet cake. And Easter bread from Youngstown that we had brought. And maybe there's something to that, recognizing that if we allow ourselves to be there for others, to try our best to be there in their hells, that then maybe when we come back for rebirth and resurrection, it's even more potent. Maybe like a Avalokiteshvara, we have more points of view. Maybe we become kinder. Maybe we become more appreciative. I'm going to share with you a reading on resurrection from Matthew, a reading on rebirth and resurrection from Thich Nhat Hanh. And this one, I did something I haven't done all the years since 2009. I threw a few of my own words in with Thai's and melded them together. And then we'll sing verse 3 of the song. So we'll begin with Matthew 28. You'll hear the word Sangha when Thich Nhat Hanh is right. It's a word not familiar to all of us. It means, essentially when he uses it, the same as church or spiritual community, or any folks that we have spiritual connection with. And that too is part of what gives us nurturance. Because I think, well, I have 2 eyes, but in this room there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's like 20, 22, 24 eyes in this. Count the dogs. We've got lots of eyes in the room, so there's lots of possibilities of seeing. So, Matthew, chapter 28, verses 1 through 10. After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And suddenly there was a great earthquake. For an angel of the Lord, descending from heaven, came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing white as snow. For fear of him, the guards shook and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has been raised. As he said, come, see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has been raised from the dead. And indeed, he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him. This is my message for you." So they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them and said, "Greetings." And they came to him, took hold of his feet and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There, they will see me." The second reading is from Thich Nhat Hanh's book, adapted from his book, Going Home, Jesus and Buddha as Brothers. And I will ring the bell as part of this reading, and of course you're invited into mindfulness. Every time you touch the seed of mindfulness, and mindfulness manifests in you, life is possible again. In a state of distraction, body and mind are not together. If you are lost in the future or in the past, you're not alive. But when the seed of mindfulness in you is touched, you become alive, body and spirit together. You are born again. Jesus is born again. The Buddha is born again. Resurrection occurs. When you hear the meditation bell, you stop your thinking. You stop what you're saying, and the bell rescues you and brings you back to your true home, where the Holy Spirit and mindfulness are alive. There you are born again, resurrected once more. You are born several times a day, thanks to the Sangha, the spiritual community surrounding you. This is the practice of resurrection. We die so many times a day. We lose ourselves so many times a day. And thanks to the Sangha and the practice, we also come back to life several times a day. If you don't practice, then when you lose your life every day, you have no chance to be reborn again. Redemption and resurrection are neither words nor objects of belief. They are our daily practice. And we practice in such a way that the Buddha is born every moment of our daily life. Jesus Christ is resurrected every moment of our daily life, born every moment of our daily life. Not only on Christmas Day or on Easter Sunday, because every day is Christmas Day, every minute is an Easter minute. The child within us is waiting each minute for us to be resurrected, to be born again and again. You were born in order to die again. This is the fact. If the Sangha, the church, and the teacher are not there, you are likely to die again. You may die for a long time before you have a chance to be reborn and resurrected again. The Sangha, the spiritual community, is your chance, your opportunity. The Sangha is your life. We have to make steady progress in our spiritual life. There are many people who, after being baptized, will sin and confess, sin and confess, sin and suffer again. Is there any progress made as a result of that process? If there is not, then we have to transform our situation. We cannot afford to let things go on and on like that. It's a tragedy and also a comedy. We have to let our faith grow. To help our faith grow, we have to let our love grow. And because our faith and our love continue to grow, our happiness will also grow. If you are not peaceful, happy, and strong, how can you expect other people to be strong, stable, and whole? We know that without the Sangha, without spiritual friends, and without continuous practice, we cannot grow steadily. Instead, we'll be off and on, up and down, up and down. We arrive nowhere. That's not really the spiritual life we want. So let us sit down together as a group of brothers and sisters, as a Sangha, to practice looking deeply again into our lives and how we conduct them. We're supposed to be born already in our spiritual life. How do we take care of our life so that each time we are resurrected, we can grow stronger? If mindfulness is cultivated in our daily life, if concentration and insight are cultivated in our daily life, if loving kindness is cultivated in our daily life, our faith and our love will grow stronger and stronger within us. We will become more open, more tolerant, more kind toward other people, more caring toward our planet and toward other beings. We will begin to become who we are here to be as students of the Buddha, as disciples of the Christ, as children of our Mother Earth, and as children of our ever-living God. Jesus Christ is risen today. Verse 3. But the pains which he endured, alleluia, our salvation have procured, alleluia. Now above the sky he's king, alleluia, where the angels ever sing, alleluia. We'll now have an opportunity to share our joys and concerns. Sometimes people just like to share them in their hearts. I always remember one friend who came to our church for years and seldom spoke during joys and concerns, but she says, oh yeah, I bring up my prayers every time. I just don't want to say them aloud. But also if you'd like to share them aloud, that's beautiful and lovely and wonderful. But don't feel any obligation to. You can just bring them up in your heart.
Also, if you wanted to come up front and
yes,
share them, you may.
Yes, if you'd like to walk up and sit here and share your prayers, then the folks who are watching on Zoom or who are joining us via Facebook Live, they'll be able to see you, but they'll be able to hear you if you say them back there. And you folks, if you would like to share your joys or your concerns, please put them in the comment section. Is that right? On Zoom or on Facebook, and we'll do our best to share them. A couple of times we've had trouble or we've missed one, and please know we bring those prayers and we share them into the future. And I will say this every single time we're doing a service, and I'm going to say it again. If you're watching this service and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time today on Easter Sunday, or you're watching it on Easter of 2029, or you're watching it some other time, please share your prayers. Obviously, if you put them in the comments, we can't share them right now, but you could share them in your heart and lift them up, because we hold that all of this reverberates out to the great sacred and adds to the good. So I invite you all into a place of prayer. O great Spirit, help us open our hearts. Help us to accompany those who are in their hells, and help us to be forgiving for the times when we're just not able to do that. We give thanks for this beautiful Easter Sunday, for this new beginning. And for this teacher. Rising from the tomb, leaving the empty womb. Teaching us. And I'll create the space if somebody else or anyone else would like to come up and share their joys and or concerns.
I'm just going to share my joys of on this Easter Sunday. Like Michael said, we make some commitments for Lent, and so Easter, it's just so, for many reasons, but it is a very joyful time when we know we fulfill those commitments, and it just always fills me with joy. And just being in the spring and these beautiful flowers that are around us now, or that are outside. Michael and I went out early this morning with our Easter bread outside as the sun was just rising. And right there was a hyacinth in our yard that we had planted probably 18 years ago. And it just filled me with joy. So joy that I put on this cross this morning. My grandma, my mom's mom, gave me this many years ago, and I looked up and I realized there was a picture of her on my dresser, and it just it's another filling with joy, just remembering my grandma. This was very meaningful to her. So thanks for coming. Prayer from Shannon. It says, prayers for my aunt who has ovarian cancer, my mom who has Parkinson's, and my dad who I believe cannot hear, but he takes care of me. but I have my own medical issues going Friday to the doctor. So prayers for that family. Thanks for sharing, Shannon.
Shared joy. I've had laryngitis, so my voice is a little. I'm Sarah. Nice to meet you all. It's pretty incredible. I'm engaged to her stepbrother, Chris Anderson, and I still really quite. It's kind of like so much joy and so much love, and to be with him. The last couple days was just quite joyous. I never really thought I'd find anyone. I'm 41, and he kind of maybe, I've been told I'm whimsical, eccentric, and he does these wonderful things. He plays. So I sent him an Evite asking him to do an Easter egg hunt with him and our two dogs, our two basset hounds. And he RSVP'd, and it was yesterday. It was supposed to be at 3, but it was at 4. And I put treats all throughout the backyard for the dogs, and then he had eggs that he had to find, and he had a basket, and I played Peter Cottontail and music. I'm standing there, and at one point I'm just like, Jesus, I don't know how you do these things. And my parents both passed away, and Chris's mom's passed away, and I'm in awe to her as well. I feel like they all kind of found this incredible man for me, and he's out playing, and each Easter egg had a task inside that he had to do. So it was like go to the pantry, go to the refrigerator, and I had bought him all these like organic foods that he likes. One of the tasks was, to draw an owl, because I have a drawing book, and there he is, and he's drawing it, and it's just, it's an extreme level, and I don't really quite know. I've been blessed with the most incredible family, and like I can get emotional, and friends, and then, to add him into the mix, it's just sort of like you don't really quite know how to express the awe of the gift that is him. It's just really like such a joy this Easter to have such an outstanding person. I have a brother with special needs, and just how Chris interacts with him, and that's a whole nother, it's unbelievable. So that's my joy is him and who he is, and the prayer that's been completed that I've asked for that I never thought would happen. So thank you. Happy Easter.
I'll share a couple of concerns and joys. One is I just want to take a moment and just allow myself to think about all the people who are in such rough situations right now. We know there's so many. Just that they might feel God's love and the caring of other people. And I want to share a couple of joys. Ollie and I had an opportunity to go see our grandnephew. I mentioned my sister had passed away. This is her grandson. he did a music performance down at Ohio University yesterday, and he's just so beautifully talented. And his mom, my niece, and his siblings were all there, and that was lovely. And we even ran into our son and his girlfriend there because they happened to be down in Athens. So we just had a great time. And Ollie and I went to this place where there's like hundreds of different kinds of herbs and other plants, and we got oregano and we got tarragon and all this sort of stuff, and I'm sort of getting excited about planting again. And we ask you to watch over all people who maybe aren't in a war zone, or they're not in a refugee camp, but they're going through difficulties that are maybe not so seen. Problems in a relationship, or mental health stuff, or physical health stuff. Oh, great sacred, help us to do both and. Help us to recognize the hell realms that people are in, but help us to also see the beauty and the love, the awesomeness that surrounds us. I have the great good fortune of being in a room with family and friends and my dear friend's parents, who I have never met before. And to be in the room with my 93-year-old mama. And all these incredible souls who are here, each in their own unique way, trying to add what's worthy and good in this world. And all you out there who are listening to this right now, you have your unique, specific way of doing the worthy work of the great sacred on this planet. We forget sometimes. Help us on this Easter Sunday, Lord, to remember, to be thankful, and to experience the joy of Easter. Peace and amen and amen.
Share this little bit that Shannon shared. So it's not a dread concern, but it's oh, she's got something else too. But she says during the embodied prayer, she opened up her window, brought her hand towards a fake Easter or an eggplant, and prayed for an ex-roommate's mom and support staff. Looking out her window at the tree, she says, "Your learning disability." She said, "Sarah, she loved your joy." Happy Easter to you all. And she said, 93-year-old, wow, celebrate her. So I'm going to give you that back. So, time for our announcements in the end. We're having a little bit longer service today, but we said it's Easter.
And a prayer, closing prayer.
And a closing prayer, yes. Okay, so announcements are, next week we are having another Church of the Wild. So if anybody would like to join us, if you're here in Central Ohio, it won't be broadcasted yet, just because you have to figure out how to do that. But if you're here in Central Ohio, it's going to be at Sharon Woods Metro Park next Sunday at 10 a.m. And so you can go to our website, theholynow.org, and learn more about that. But it's a whole different kind of thing. It's not church in the wild, it's church of the wild. And so you can learn about that. And so we'll be doing that next Sunday. The Sunday after that, we'll be back here in person and online on Facebook and on Zoom. So we'd love for you to join us. This coming Wednesday, there's going to be a mindful yoga at our house from 7 to 8. And we're going to note the change in time to everybody. It was at 6, but now it's from 7 to 8 o'clock. And the next Wednesday, Michael's going to be having his men's group. And that's on the first and third Wednesdays. My yoga's on the second and fourth Wednesdays. And then another big thing we're going to announce is that in July, on July 15th, we are going to have our first full day in-person mindfulness retreat here in Columbus. So anyone that's here in Central Ohio, that is going to be actually in Metro Park too. But we'll have more details coming about that. But that we are just announcing that July 15th, we're going to have a full day mindfulness retreat. If you want to learn more about us, and you can go to theholynow.org. You can contact us, get our email list, and get all the information. Let me see, you wrote, okay, I'm looking at what else. If you'd like to donate and support us, you can go to theholynow.org, and there's a donate section on there. You also can find all our podcasts and other services, connections to all those on there. And again, I'm going to thank Gentle Embers Media, which is here filming us. Some of this is going to be up on YouTube. And so that's been wonderful to get things back up on YouTube and on other social media platforms too. So I'll let Michael end us with a song and a prayer and any other announcements that I missed.
Yes. Thank you folks who are watching online, and thank you folks who are here with us. It's so wonderful to have you here in our home, and to have you folks here in our home who are joining us online. I will invite the bell to sound one more time, and I think our closing prayer, I don't think we'll do better than the fourth verse of Jesus Christ is risen today. So I'll do the bell, and then we'll have our song to close us out. And may we go forth with hearts of compassion, ready to listen, with openness, ready to water beneficial seeds in others. And may we reflect on this descending and arising. May it help us as we do our best to add to the good. Enjoy the sound of the bell, and then we'll have the final verse. As people have been singing in celebration for centuries, on this Easter Sunday, we sing. Sing we to our God above, Alleluia. Praise eternal as His love, Alleluia. Praise Him, all ye heavenly hosts, Alleluia. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, Alleluia. Easter.